Alright people, what is happening? Welcome back to another episode of the F1 2021 My Team series here on the channel. Next up is the Spanish Grand Prix. Hopefully you are up to date with the season so far. If you are not, make sure you go back and check out the previous episodes. But if you are up to date, welcome today. Like I say, the Spanish Grand Prix, we've not been here for 2 seasons now. We obviously didn't include this race in the last season of the My Team series. But looking at the standings there, you can see our teammate Lewis Hamilton a few points ahead of us, let's just say that. Yeah, I can't do the maths right now. 26 points ahead of us, I want to say. So hopefully we get fastest lap and a race win today and Lewis DNFs, and then we'll take the lead in the driver's standings. But yeah, anyway, getting into the race today, it's the Spanish Grand Prix. We have Lewis Hamilton as our teammate. Will we see some sort of, you know, I don't want to jinx it and say contact, but we know how Lewis and Nico Rosberg were as teammates at this race. And if you have just noticed there, as I click on the qualifying, boys, it says it's going to be wet in qualifying. And look at this, as we get to the Spanish circuit, look at the puddles all over this track. This is full wet conditions. Going to be a very, very tricky qualifying session. This is my first time actually racing. I've just clocked first time racing on wheel and pedals in the rain, so I was looking forward to getting into this actually to see how the grip felt through the wheel and pedal setup compared to on a controller. And let's just say it was a very tricky qualifying session. You can see we're currently P22. I haven't set the time yet. We've waited until the end of this Q1 session, fast forward the time a little, just to try and get a bit of track evolution, clear some water off, and try and set a decent lap. But getting into this lap, hopefully we can try and keep our car between the white lines on either side of the track. That is just the main goal as we come through this very wet circuit here in Spain. Boys, if you are not subscribed, I don't know what you're doing watching this video and you're not subscribed to the channel, just hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell as well so you never miss an upload. I've got a few things coming on YouTube in the next couple of weeks and months, so you don't want to miss any of that. And of course, once the new F1 game comes out, we'll be going ham with content for that game as well. So and that will be in a few months in the summertime, so you don't want to miss that. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the like button as well. We haven't hit 10 likes on a video in a long time, so hopefully we can try and hit 10 likes on this one. Make sure you hit that like button if you haven't already. And then anyway, back to the session here in Spain. We are going 5 tenths up on our delta from our previous lap, which was only good enough for P8. So clearly struggling a little for pace in the rain. Mick Schumacher in P6 in the Williams. That's a great lap from Mick Schumacher to put himself up there. Williams do have, I still believe, the 4th best car on the grid in this career mode. So not surprising to see him up in the top 10, but still, to be P6 is very nice. But then that's a good lap from us, nearly a whole second quicker than our previous lap, but that's only good enough for P4. Lando Norris separating us from our teammate Lewis Hamilton, and at the end of the session he still separates us, and Callum Ilott also separates us from Lewis. But look at that, Max Verstappen fastest in the session. We were 1.1 seconds away from Max Verstappen, a little bit off the pace. Guan Yu Zhou out in P20 in that Ferrari. Ferrari are not going to be happy with this guy. They sold Carlos Sainz to Mercedes and picked up Guan Yu Zhou. Very weird transfer, but Zhou is just not cutting it in that Ferrari. I'm sure they won't be happy with his progress so far. I won't be surprised if we see a few driver transfers mid-season at that first contract renewal point, because some of these drivers just aren't performing. We set the fastest lap there as we come through the final corner. I don't think many people had set a lap yet. You can see Pierre Gasly up in P4, so our teammate Lewis Hamilton hasn't even set a lap yet. Verstappen though in P2, we went quicker than Verstappen here in Q2 with a 127.1. Of course, the Q2 tyre rule doesn't apply here because we're in wet conditions, so we're just on the wet tyres. We don't have to worry about strategy, anything like that. We go purple through sector 1 again though, just showing again we do have some pace around here. We're getting every lap. I felt I was getting more used to driving in the rain, especially through the wheel and pedal input, and yeah, like I say, just practice. That's all it is. It's practicing in it, but it's hard to practice on the rain, especially on my team, because sometimes like your practice sessions obviously have different weather to the quali and to the race sometimes. So this is the first time I'd actually been out in the rain, I think. Was it? Yeah, I want to say it is, yeah. But well, it felt like it anyway. But we're doing very well so far, or decently well. You know, we set the fastest lap in the Q2 session, and then we're going up in our delta, improving on the time. It's already the fastest lap in the session. Hopefully we can keep it neat and tidy through the final chicane. Very tricky to get right that chicane. If you mess up the entry, then you really compromise the exit. And then getting across the line there, 5 tenths quicker, another fastest lap at 126.5. We broke that 126 mark. And at the end of the session, we fast forwarded the last 5 minutes of the session, and it put us down to P7 from P1, and you can see 1.5 seconds off the pace again. Clearly track evolution or something there, because that's a big jump to go from P1 down to P7. We were lucky to even get through in the end. Mick Schumacher out in P14. He had a good lap before, but clearly not good enough now. His teammate in the other Williams, George Russell, getting through though. Callum Ilott down in P8 as well in the other Red Bull. He's been doing well so far this season in that Red Bull. Getting into Q3 though, boys, you can see we're currently P3 with a 127.1. Hopefully we can try and scrape that 126 time again, because as you've just seen in that Q2 session, Hamilton and Verstappen put in 125s, so we definitely need to improve there. But we go purple through sector 1, and already through sector 1 and half of sector 2. We're 7 tenths up. Look at that, 7 tenths up as we climb this hill now. Very tricky part of the track here. You're going uphill, but it's a left-right, and the track dips away. Very easy to spin the car. And then this corner right here, the AI take flat out, but I couldn't manage to take it flat out. I was losing a lot of time in the race. We'll see once we get there. And even in quali probably, to the AI, losing a lot of time there because of that flat out corner that they, they don't care about tyre temperature or tyre wear. The AI, they just take everything flat out. I wish they do program that a bit better in the next game, to be honest. A bit of an oversteer on the exit of that corner. Getting down to the chicane now. Can we keep this neat and tidy? Like I said last time, we come out of the chicane. Decent exits from the chicane, 9 tenths up on our previous lap. We're going to cross the line 9.5 tenths faster than our previous lap. It's going to be a 126.2. It's only good enough for P2, but we are 1 tenth away from our teammate Lewis Hamilton, who did a 126.1 or flat. I forgot what it was now, but it is 20 seconds left in the session. This is going to be our final lap of the qualifying session. Can we improve on our time? Can we take that pole position away from Lewis Hamilton? We'll have to find out. Coming through the right-hander, flat out right-hander. If you get the turning wrong, you can't take it flat out and you lose a lot of time. But we go purple again through sector 1, even though we went red in the delta at the end of it. We ended up going purple anyways, which means of course the purple sector means you've gone the fastest in the session out of any car. So coming out of there, a bit of oversteer again, but I don't know what's happened to the screen there, it's glitched, but yeah, we're still up in the delta. There we go. I don't know what happened there. That was weird, but yeah, 2 tenths up coming through the flat out right hander again. I don't know if you can actually take that flat out in the rain, but in the race the AI definitely felt like they were taking it flat out through the hairpin now. Excuse me, a lot of time to make up through that hairpin there, and that's evident in the delta. 5 tenths up now, as you can see. We did mess up in the hairpin on the previous lap, so I'm not surprised we made up so much time there, but we're 7 tenths up, heading downhill to the chicane now. We get a nice entry to the chicane, which means we get a decent exit. A little tiny bit of oversteer again, but coming through the final corner now, it's 5 tenths up on our previous lap. We crossed the line, and what is it going to be? I don't know, because the session has finished. Let's advance and see, was that good enough for pole position? We went 5 tenths quicker than our previous lap. Whether Lewis has improved on his lap or not, we'll have to wait and see as we advance now. It is pole position here in Spain. After that Q1 session, we were a second off the pace. I didn't think we had it in us to do something like this, but look at that, a 125.7. That is a quality lap here in the rain. Did not expect it. If you've seen the other seasons, we are notoriously bad when it comes to driving in the rain. But then last season we had Portimao in the rain, which was a good race for us. And there we go. We've smashed qualifying. Let's get to the race.
The Spanish Grand Prix has been a permanent fixture on the Formula One calendar for over 30 years now, and for good reason. Do you remember Michael Schumacher's absolute dominance here in that rain-soaked Grand Prix in 1996? That day he took his first ever victory for Ferrari, and we've had many more iconic moments since. It's a sellout crowd of 140,000 here today as we await lights out for the 730-metre sprint down to turn 1 of this 2.9-mile racetrack. Overtaking is challenging through these 16 corners, but there's still a lot of high-speed excitement to be found, including the flat-out Turn 3 and the terrifying blind right of Turn 9. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box. And it's fantastic to have you with us here today, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
But from the moment qualifying's over, you start to feel the adrenaline in your body build up and the buzz in your stomach as you anticipate the run down into Turn 1. It's all a bit like going into battle, and the unknown situation makes you nervous. Those pre-race nerves are a good thing. The day you don't have them means that you don't care anymore. And of course, you have to make sure that all the procedures are second nature to you, so that they're not taking up too much of your capacity.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. It's the owner-driver in pole position then, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Verstappen, Norris, Callum Ilott, and Gasly, Leclerc, Aitken, Russell, and Daniel Ricciardo, Tsunoda, Mick Schumacher, Fernando Alonso, and Lundgaard. Sainz, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Stroll, Antonio Giovinazzi, and Sebastian Vettel, they've taken a grid penalty. Latifi, Joe, Mazepin, and Daniel Ticktum. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
So boys, there we have the grid. We are on pole position. We share the front row with our teammate Lewis Hamilton. I just checked the race director there. You can see in the race directory what tyres people are starting the race on. It looks like everyone is starting on the medium tyres. Not sure if that is 100% accurate, but it gave me an idea of what we wanted to do for the strategy, with a free choice of strategy, of course. We are going to go with the one-stop strategy, medium hard. Let's get into the race here, boys. Can we convert this pole position to a win? Let's find out. 5 red lights, and it is lights out and away we go. And we're off to a slow start there compared to everyone else around us. We try and push Max Verstappen to the inside. I think there was a bit of contact there. Lewis Hamilton in the lead down into turn 1. He's got the inside line. We're going to try and send it around the outside of Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton through turn 1, up through turn 2, wheel to wheel with Lewis Hamilton through the flat out right hander of turn 3, wheel to wheel with Lewis Hamilton. And look at this, was wheel to wheel. This is where Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton crashed in that infamous race years ago in Spain. We managed to avoid contact with our teammate Lewis. It is still wheel to wheel into the downhill braking zone. There might be a bit of a touch there, but we take the lead from Lewis Hamilton back up into P1 after that slow start. Let's get a replay of that start and see just what went wrong. It lights out and away we go. And we just didn't seem to move off the line that first phase of the start, and then we had a bit of contact there with Max Verstappen as I tried to push him to the inside to try and block away the overtake there. But round the outside, look how close we go to the back of Lewis Hamilton there, just trying to carry as much speed as we can through turn 1, and then this wheel-to-wheel battle through turn 3, 4 and 5. Great racing from me and Lewis here, and managing to avoid contact there like Nico and Lewis did years ago. Very reminiscent of that moment there. And then into the downhill braking zone, you can see I tried to push him a little bit wide, a bit cheeky from me. Lucky not to have take any damage there or contact with Lewis, but we did make contact with Max Verstappen, and there's a bit of a moment for us, getting a bit wobbly coming through that left right. I mentioned in quali how difficult that was. Now the tyres are dirty and hot from going on the gravel, and then getting into the hairpin. Lewis looks to go around the outside into the hairpin. We take a nice defensive line through there though, to push Lewis out the way of trying to make a move through there. But yeah, not a very pretty moment that going through the gravel. We got a bit unsettled on the inside curb and had to take evasive action, otherwise we would have just spun and put it in the wall. I'd rather go over the gravel than go into the wall. But Max Verstappen in P3 here, Callum Ilott P4, and the two AlphaTauris actually in P6 and P7. That's a good standing for them. They haven't really been noticeable in this season, I want to say, so far. Haven't really seen much of those guys there coming through. Lap 2 though, we're setting purple sectors in sector 2. I mean, there's only been 2 laps, but you can see in the bottom left there, boys, that is a Red Bull way back at the back of the pack. That is going to be Max Verstappen. Now when we did make that contact off the start, off the line, we did make contact with Max Verstappen, so that is unfortunate. full max. A bit of a bad move from me, I guess, but I was being desperate to try and not get overtaken off the start. Callum Ilott takes fastest lap away from our teammate Lewis Hamilton, who took it away from us. And Ilott set a 1:17.6 there, I think. So that's a lot quicker than us. 1:18.3 we set. A lot quicker than us there, Callum Ilott. Lap 4 now, though. DRS is active. Down to turn 1. Lewis Hamilton, the easiest overtaking opportunity in Spain. Down to turn 1 after DRS. We take the inside line, manage to stay ahead. I do like taking the inside line to defend here in Spain, because you can get quite defensive with the line that you take to push the opponent who's trying to overtake you around the outside. You can push them wide and off the track almost through turn 2, because it's kind of like a deep chicane, I want to call it. You know, like a turn 1 and 2 here. It is like a chicane, but it's not like a tight one like at the end of the lap. There goes Lewis Hamilton on lap 5. He's all the way past us now before we even get to the braking zone. Try and tuck into that slipstream of his, but we are way too far back to try and make a move there. That slipstream is so OP. A little wobble from Lewis there, it looked like. So hopefully he's trying to rinse his tyres, or his tyres are overheating or something. And then we can try and strike back against Lewis, because if we let him go off into the distance, that is not what we want to do, because, you know, he will just run away with this. Callum Ilott 1.6 behind. He's not a threat at the moment. Doesn't have that DRS on us. Can we stick with Lewis though and get that DRS ourselves? That is the most crucial part, I guess, of chasing Lewis Hamilton. Just sticking within that DRS range, because then he will pull us along, you know. Pause. But yeah, there we go. We get DRS, but look how far ahead he is. He's almost a whole second ahead already. Like I say, the AI take that corner flat out, and we just can't take it flat out, especially in race conditions. Something I did realise though, boys, in the wet conditions, obviously it is advised to bump up your front wing and rear wing in the setup. Now for my Spanish Grand Prix setup, my rear wing is already maxed out, but the front wing in the tuning and the setup is on 9, with 11 being the max. So because it was raining so heavily, I put that 9 up to 11, so my downforce was 11.11. But getting into the race, I forgot to change it back to the dry condition, you know, setup of 9.11. So we had a lot more downforce on that front wing, which was costing us some time on the straights. Gaining time through the corners, I guess, but that's a very long straight on the back of this circuit, a decently long straight here with DRS as well. So we were definitely losing some time from that front wing setup. And obviously with a one-stop strategy, we're not going to be stopping anytime soon to get that fixed, or to get that changed back down to that 9 setting on the front wing. But coming through to the end of the lap now, Lewis Hamilton, he's almost pulling out of that DRS range. You see I'm leaving the battery on, even through corners, which I never really do. We crossed the DRS line, and we're not going to have it. We're not going to have DRS for this lap. So getting down into turn 1, you can see Lewis is racing ahead. Even though we're in the same car, he's flew ahead, gained like 2/10 down the straight there. Ridiculous. Obviously just had a better exit, as well as that probably lower downforce setup. I mean, I don't know what setup your teammate runs, whether it's just default, but I mean, even the default is less than the max downforce, you know. Callum Ilott is now a threat to us. He's getting within DRS range, and Lewis Hamilton 7 seconds ahead. Look how quick Lewis Hamilton is. You've seen it so far this season already. The guy is absolutely ridiculous. We are going to need a bit of luck, a bit of a miracle to try and stop this guy, not just in this race but in this season in general. Callum Ilott though, he's got DRS on us, and the general thing that I gathered was if they're within 5/10 behind, then they will overtake you through into turn 1 with DRS. But we managed to take the lead back from, or not the lead, but we managed to take P2 back from Callum Ilott there. There's a replay of that overtake from us. It looks like Ilott had a massive lockup down to turn 1. That's why it was so easy to shoot up the inside.
Some information on Latifi.
Nicholas Latifi in the Alfa Romeo out of the session. Let's see if he's crashed it like a stinker, or if he's just had a bit of engine failure, and that's what it looks like. Engine failure for Nicholas Latifi. He pulls across to the side of the road there as Max Verstappen in the Red Bull drives past him, gaining 1 place from the back there. I think he's up into P20 already. Callum Ilott clears us way before the braking zone for turn 1. Like I mentioned, if they're within 5 seconds or 5/10, then it looks like they will make an easy overtake, especially if they're even closer than that. And with the downforce setup that we had going, it just wasn't fun. You know, every time we went down that home straight, it was not fun, especially when there was a car behind us. But can we stick with Callum Ilott, or is he going to do with Lewis Hamilton? Is he just going to pull away from us? I'm wondering as well, did we take damage when we collided with Max Verstappen off the start? Did we take side pod damage? Because obviously he needed a new front wing. So does that mean his front wing stabbed the side of our car and we have side pod damage, which would increase drag further down this straight, which would obviously make us slow down the straight again? But who knows? But we're in the slipstream there, using all of our battery and DRS on Callum Ilott. Can we have a look down the inside there? We can, with his contact. Ilott turns in on us completely. Poor driving from both drivers, I'd say. But we're wheel to wheel through turn 3 now. Managed to take P2 back from Callum Ilott. You know, it was an ambitious move from me. We were from way downtown, but like Steph Curry, I'm going to pull up from way downtown and shoot my shot up the inside when I can. Ilott completely turns in on us. Maybe that gave us some side pod damage as well, who knows. But I say who knows, by the way, because when you ask Jeff if you've got damage, he just says tyres are looking good. And it's like, lad, I'm not asking about the tyres, I'm asking if we've got damage on the car. And sometimes, even when you go into the replays and you can see physically there is damage to the car, Jeff won't tell you, you know what I mean? But this is our in lap, so hopefully we can have a good you know, push and get drain all of the grip out of these medium tyres before we take them off for the hard. Callum Ilott's still behind us though, didn't threaten us down to turn 1 though, on that lap there. And then we come to the end of the lap now, we're going to come into the pits, but we're not actually, we're going to stay out. We gave a little shoulder drop there. Looked like we were going into the pits, but we stayed out. Lando Norris in P4, he's into the pits though. I just didn't want to let Callum Ilott just run away with it. You know, I wanted to defend him down to turn 1 again, as we do here. Just because I didn't want, you know, to go into the pits. Ilott would have still got DRS, even though we went into the pits because he was within the range. So I decided to stay out for at least one more lap. And I was like, you know what, we're setting red sectors, not feeling very good on these tyres. Let's come into the pits and then see what we can do once we come out. Lewis Hamilton just coming out to the pits in front of us on hard tyres. Our teammate, hopefully he's gone by the time we get to our pit box. But crucially, Callum Ilott comes in behind us and pulls into the Red Bull pit box, of course. Ilott in behind us. Can we have a good stop here? The guy at the back was slow to pick the car up. It's 3 seconds on the pit stop, and Callum Ilott has overtaken us in the pits. You know, Red Bull, I've got quick pit stops, and our boy's just weighing up to it. 3 seconds on the pit stop. Callum Ilott probably had a 2 second something. Obviously, he was like 3/10 behind us when we came into the pits. So all you have to do is get a 2.7 pit stop, and he would have came out ahead of us. It's unfortunate. Can we stick with him now and get that DRS? Be very unfortunate to lose a place in this race, down to, you know, losing a place in the pits. Antonio Giovinazzi, the other Alfa Romeo, retiring from this race. That Ferrari engine in that car not looking very strong at the moment. I'm glad we did drop Ferrari this season for Mercedes, but I mean, I can't really say that because we might have engine failure later in the season. Hopefully not though, but something tells me we might. Getting down towards the end of the lap, we are still within range of Callum Ilott. He's actually costing us time here because look, I'm so much faster than him going through that chicane, especially on the entry. I had to proper brake to not rear end the guy, but we are within 5/10 of Callum Ilott. So if my math is correct, we should be able to make a pass here. Battery activated and DRS. And look at that, he had a little wobble there, and we get unsettled coming through turn 1, trying to rejoin back onto the track, and there is contact, and Callum Ilott goes off into the gravel. What have I just witnessed? We get a warning for a collision with Callum Ilott. Look at this, boys. As we head down to turn 1, Ilott pulls out a little bit to defend, but then he shakes his wheel. It looked like he shakes his wheel. It looks like he was going to step out, and that really unsettled me, especially we're going over 200 mile an hour down to turn 1 there, and then as we rejoin the track, literally just shoulder barged Ilott off the track, and he flies off into the gravel trap. You can see here though, he steps out a little bit and then comes back in, and then you can see my driver's wheel there shakes because it did unsettle me. And when you're going that fast with force feedback, like a little move like that does unsettle you. We'll see the onboard of Callum Ilott in a sec, and you can see his wheel. Look at this. You can see there he snaps it a little, he gives it a little wiggle, which proper unsettled me. And then as we rejoin the track, Eilert, come on, he could have avoided that crash. I know that was like dangerous driving for me to rejoin the track like that, but he could have avoided that. All he had to do was lift off and he would have missed me, you know what I mean? But Callum Eilert puts himself into the gravel, and then yeah, Lando Norris, the man who's made up the most time in that collision or gained the most from that. Lando Norris now 2 tenths behind us, heading down this main straight. We get defensive there, a nice defensive line which allows us to try and attack him back into turn 1. We managed to get it slowed down in time this time before we go off the track. Crazy moment though, and I guess on controller I wouldn't have really noticed something like that, but when I'm going 200 mile an hour with a Fanatec wheel with force feedback and somebody snaps the wheel in front of me like that and like wobbles in front of me, it proper unsettles you. And then if you wiggle a Fanatec wheel with force feedback like that, your car just goes crazy. So I just went flying off the track, tried to rejoin. I did try and rejoin safely. I tried to stick to the left as I came back on, but yeah, I mean, I guess it didn't work out. Driving now, attacking and defending Lando Norris. It went on for a few laps. You can see lap 27 now. Same thing again, just tucking into a slipstream as he's overtaking us, and then down up the inside through turn 1. We managed to take a position back and stay in P2. Callum Eilert still in P4 though. Even after that moment, nobody could capitalise on that. I think his teammate Max Verstappen is stuck in a bit of traffic as well. You can see in the bottom left now at turn 3 there's a lot of traffic coming out of there. Dan Ticktum has a little wobble there. That was almost a massive crash right in front of us, and as we come through the flat out right, Dan Ticktum, I don't know what he was doing, but he's got out the way. He's actually helped us there, because that means Lando Norris couldn't pull out, and now he's got a kid on the way, but that means Lando Norris couldn't pull to the side and overtake us down into this hairpin. But there's the checkered flag. We're only halfway through the lap, and the checkered flag has fallen. Lewis Hamilton takes the win, 50.8 seconds ahead of us. Like, that's like 2 whole pit stops ahead. Lewis could have done a 4-stop strategy and still beat us this race. Like, that's how quick this guy is. Like I say, I do think I did take damage, but I'm not going to put it down to that. Lewis was just ridiculously fast. There's the checkered flag. We crossed the line in P2. It's another podium, it's another P2. We've had a run of, what, 4 P2s now, or 3 P2s and a P3. And that makes Lewis's tally up to 4 wins in a row, I think, with 3 fastest laps. The guy is just insane. Like I say, we're going to need some luck, or just something, a miracle, to beat this guy this season in the driver's standings. Because of course the driver's standings is what we're going for this year, the driver's championship. Lewis Hamilton looking to win his 8th world driver's championship, and we are looking to win our first. Will we do a Nico Rosberg? Will we beat Lewis Hamilton, win a driver's championship, and then retire? Who knows? That does actually sound like it might be on the cards, you know, I can't lie. But to do that, we have to beat Lewis Hamilton, and to beat Lewis Hamilton, we're going to have to pull something special out the bag. We might have to go to Russia, get some performance enhancers or something like that, and just hope that FIA don't test us, because there's no way we can beat this guy at this current moment in time. Well, there is actually. We should have beat him in Bahrain. We got overtaken on the final lap, which was devastating. And I did beat him in Imola, but then my Xbox reset and I redid the race. And then obviously he beat me in Imola. So that's 2 wins we should have had already. Instead, Lewis Hamilton going a second and a half quicker than everyone every time he sets a fastest lap. Another 26 points for Lewis. We do need to stop him from getting these 26 points, because it's ridiculous at this point. We'll check the standings now and we'll see just how. I mean, 18 from P2 is still good enough, but that's a lot of points. We're 34 points now behind Lewis Hamilton. Callum Eilert still in P3. Callum Eilert, the ex-Sasuke Racing teammate in Season 1. He's doing better than Max Verstappen, 2-time world champion. I was going to say world champion and drivers champion. I don't know. Nah, it doesn't have a ring to it. But world champion Max Verstappen. He's won it the last 2 times in our career mode. But Callum Eilert, the rookie, first full season in Formula 1 for him, and he's doing better than Max Verstappen. Obviously Max has had some misfortune, and wait till you see the next race. Spoiler, Max Verstappen might have a bit more misfortune in Baku. We saw it last season, he had tyre failure. We saw it in real life when he had tyre failure. I wonder what's going to happen this time in Baku. The Azerbaijan Grand Prix is next up. You do not want to miss this one. Trust me when I say that. Absolute chaos in that race, and after this race, yeah, like, in fact, I won't even spoil it. Just make sure you stay tuned for the next race. If you did enjoy this video, boys, like, comment, share, and subscribe. You know the vibes. I will catch us next time. Take it easy.